Hey there, YouTube. I'm back. Hope you have been doing well. Before we begin, I would like to thank all my listeners. I very much appreciate you. If you are new to the channel and like this story, please consider liking and subscribing. Got a new story I want to try. A Naruto crossover with Genshin Impact. Normally, these types of stories haven't done well before, but I'm putting my faith into this one. This is a what if about if an established Naruto was Lumine's guide instead of Paimon. A Naruto who had amnesia sometime after his fight against Tonari. This is a Naruto in his prime after all, and lost his connection and feeling to his old world, choosing Teyvat as his new home. Naruto will be shipped with Lumine and a lady from each region. Eula from Mondstadt, Arlecchino from Fontaine, Mavuika from Natlan, and Yelan or Shenhe from Liyue. Sumeru is completely open, although I am leaning towards Dia. Inazuma is also entirely open for every character, with the exceptions being Raiden A and Miko. Just don't want them for the story, and likely Skirk for Nesnaya. I will be reading the clean version of the story here on YouTube, but for those who want the smut and when that eventually comes to be, that will be on the archive of our own version, so read it there when it comes out. Now, on to the Storm of Teyvat. Small note here before I start. Sorry for any mispronunciations. Some of these words I just don't know how to say correctly. If you know how to, just write something in the comments for me and I will try my best, alright? Now let's begin. It had been some time since he visited Mondstadt, the land of wind and the city of freedom. Glancing up through the night sky as a gentle breeze from the west ruffled his dusted cloak, a pair of cerulean eyes shimmered at the festivities and fairly drunk crowd. Given the merriment and cheer, he supposed it was the wind coming of Wineless Fest. City as lively as ever, Naruto chuckled as he swept past the citizens, drinking in the street, effortlessly weaving by and finding his way. It may have been a while since he last visited, but he knew the city reasonably well. This land was where he woke up many years ago, with no memories except for his name and an ideal of who he was. Naruto shook his head as he stepped foot into the angel chair, flicking his duster's hood as he approached the bar. He had recovered some of his old memories, but they had felt foreign to him, as if those memories were of another life. His life was now a nomadic traveler, wandering from country to country, experiencing the world, helping its citizens, and taking care of any problems that arose while he was around. And many problems reared their head when he was around. It was like Naruto was a magnet for it. Ah, there's a face I haven't seen in some time. Dare I ask how much trouble you've been stirring since you've been away? The red-haired bartender in all black addressed Naruto as he approached the bar. Good to see you too, Diluc. Naruto chuckled, shaking his head a second time. He had earned a reputation. Another round for my men, a deep, boisterous voice declared, earning a roar of cheer from many of the knights in the den. He's upstairs, Diluc rolled his eyes as he cleaned the mug, briefly tilting his head towards the winding stairs that led to the next floor. And stay on your guard if you know what's good for you. Naruto momentarily frowned before recognition dawned on him. Eula? Diluc gave a simple nod before his attention turned to cracking the new case for a wine, handing a glass to Naruto in the process. Taking it, Naruto navigated the flight up the stairs to see a slew of familiar faces drinking merrily with one another. Well, most were drinking. There were a select few who did not partake or only sipped. And as expected, as he approached the tall man at the head of all of them, he was singled out by one drunk in particular, a blue-haired knight stumbling towards him. Ah, so he returns. And where have you been? Eula slurred as she stopped before Naruto, staring up into his eyes and glowering. I swear, vengeance will be mine if I hear you have been spending time with that Fatui hussy. She and the rest of that flock are nothing but trouble, ya hear? Naruto could only sheepishly respond, ruffling his locks, unsure how to respond to that. He was more than aware there were some rotten eggs within that organization. He had dealt with a few, and he understood where Eula's worries came from. But if she just met... My, I see someone is jealous. The mischievous voice of the cavalry captain Kaya caused Eula to bashfully flush for a mere moment, and he swiftly earned her wrath. Mark my words. Say that again, and my vengeance will be swift as the wind, and unstoppable as the tide. Eula sneered. Oh, I'm shaking in my boots, Kaya quipped. Eula seethed. If looks could kill, Naruto felt Kaya would have dissolved into a mushy puddle of goo. Now, this is time for joy and celebration. Come, let's put aside these petty squabbles and drink and feast. The head of the table, Barca, stood and beamed, his gaze shifting from Eula and Kaya. And for the briefest moment, he struck a fierce glance towards each of them before returning to his jovial nature as Eula scoffed and Kaya buried himself in his drink. Even when they were under the influence, they knew better than to irritate the Grand Master. He was a man who warranted respect no matter who you were. So as Naruto was offered a chair, he took his cue and settled down next to Eula with a drink in hand before Barca. He took a casual sip as the knights around him, besides Jean and Lisa, cheered as Diluc arrived with several more drinks. Naruto shared a glance with Jean, who simply nodded. He sighed and shook his head. As much as he wanted to get to business, alas, Naruto knew it would have to wait. This was a momentous occasion. Business could wait. Wineless Fest was a special tradition in Mondstadt. Now, Naruto could only hope Varka could keep a level head and stay sober enough to discuss what he had learned tonight. The night had finally calmed. Most of the knights had staggered home. They knew not to remain within the angel share after closing time, lest they incur the wrath of Master Diluc. Only a few people remained, their presence allowed by the master of the tavern, who sat alongside them. Still sitting at the head of the table, Varka gazed upon the scroll Naruto had handed him, reading intently. Despite having drunk enough for 10 men, he was still quite sober, a testament to his iron constitution. And even if he wasn't, Jean, like Naruto, had only casually drank to join in with her subordinates. Her iron gaze steeled upon the note, taking in every detail alongside the Grand Master, preparing plans to assist whatever action Varka would take. There was a reason she was second in command of the knights, and was commonly joked to be the acting Grand Master. Jean took care of many of the duties, while Varka was often out leading many expeditions. Naruto sipped his wine, still working on his first drink as they mulled over the information he had brought them. He only socially drank, never having found a taste for the stuff. On his shoulder, snoring with a blush, was Eula. She muttered something about taking vengeance on her disobedient pillow before she snuggled firmly into Naruto. Eula had enough to drink for the both of them. It's as I feared. A deep growl emanated from Varka's throat. A long and calming breath followed as he rolled the scroll and set it aside, a calm gaze settling upon Naruto. Thank you, my friend. Your help in such matters is always appreciated. We are forever indebted to you. A seat will remain open for you if you ever wish to join. I appreciate it, but it would be disingenuous to accept such an offer. I am loyal to my friends. All my friends. Naruto flashed a polite smile. Varka only nodded with an understanding expression he hadn't expected Naruto to accept. Regardless, you are always welcome here in Mondstadt, Jean added with a gentle smile before chuckling as Eula murmured, Finally, vengeance will be mine. Time to bow and serve your queen. Especially you, my king. Eula slurred in her dreams, her head still resting firmly on Naruto's shoulders. Naruto flushed as Varka raised his brow, and Jean giggled. He didn't even want to know what Eula was dreaming about, even though he had an idea. She was obtaining her vengeance against him without even realizing it. If you could safely see her home, we have to discuss our actions after receiving this intel, Varka exhaled, shaking his head at Eula's content expression. Of course, that was the plan once I saw how much she was drinking, Naruto nodded, finally finishing his drink with one last swig. For her size, she certainly can drink with the best of them, Varka let out a chortle, as Naruto carefully stood up, much to Eula's chagrin. Oh, I don't wanna, Eula muttered as her eyes flickered several times. Naruto gently swept her into his arms, and she seemed far more content. So warm. Stop making this awkward. Naruto squinted at the barely woken Eula in his arms. Soon vengeance will be mine, Eula dreamily muttered, nestling into Naruto's chest as he carried her away from the table. Before he could go, a voice stopped him. What will you do? Diluc asked as Naruto reached the stairs. His question was pointed, and Naruto knew why. Given what little was spoken and what he had likely caught on to from his notes, Diluc was likely interested in this conversation. The situation with the abyss would soon turn, and the consequences would be dire. And then there were the disturbing steps the Fatui were taking to address it. Heh, you already know what I'm gonna do, Naruto smirked, turning back and broadly grinning at the three. Gonna do what I do best, be a thorn in their side and help those in need. And if anything of the abyss rears its ugly head when I'm around, they'll learn just like everyone else why I am the storm. The gentle western breeze felt nice at this time of night. The stars and the moon shone brightly in the sky, illuminating him with their warmth and light, lighting his path. Not that he needed it. Naruto had taken Eula home many times before and knew the way. You gotta stop making a habit of this, Naruto chuckled, shaking his head at the night. No, warm, Eula sleepily muttered, causing Naruto to snort. Did she know what she was saying? Or was she responding to what she thought he had said? Naruto stopped as his attention shifted as he neared Eula's residence. The strum of a familiar instrument had become more noticeable the closer he had come. A gust of wind caused his gaze to shift, following the breeze to the rooftop, where a young bard in green and white sat, playing the lyre. Should have guessed it was you, Naruto commented as the bard continued to strum his lyre. Of course it would be. Who else? On a night with such excellent wine and merriment in the air? Where else would I be? Venti smiled, his cheeks flushed from the amount he had likely drank. He had likely drank his fair share, if not more, throughout the night. It would be wise to be more cautious. You know what they're after, Naruto deadpanned at the drunk. And where's the fun in that? Venti mused as he strummed his lyre, faintly smiling. Their foolish actions will not constrain me. She could come and ask for it herself, and I would willingly hand it over. I made that promise to her long ago, and I keep my promises, as you know. Naruto furrowed his brow and scowled at the bard. Rolling his eyes, he resumed towards Eula's residence, only stopping to open the door and glancing back at the rooftop. Just make sure to follow through on our promise. And keep an eye on Dvalin. The Abyss wasn't happy with my interference. Of course, the winds will always be there when you need my aid, Venti laughed, focusing on his play. But his eyes twinkled as he looked down at Naruto. Have a good night and take care. Don't do anything I wouldn't. Naruto glowered, throwing a nasty glare at the bard. However, seeing the distant look in Venti's gaze as he looked away into the nearby shadows caused Naruto to hesitate for a second. It was where a shadowy presence lurked. One he had known that had been there for quite some time. You too, Naruto stated. He would deal with it soon enough. A hiccup shivered from Eula, drew his focus back onto her, stepping through the threshold of her residence. He only rolled his eyes as he went to set Eula onto her bed gently. Warm. Eula immediately pulled her sheets over and curled into the bedding. Naruto snorted, turning away before freezing upon hearing her mother further. Now, my king, it's time. No, not now. When you sleep off your stupor, and if I'm still here... Naruto scoffed, glancing back towards Eula. Then maybe I'll keep you warm for the night, my vengeful queen. Until then, duty calls. This shadow had lurked around him since he had entered Mondstadt. It followed him, keeping track of his whereabouts while he was in the city, staying hidden long enough to not draw attention to itself beyond his own. Or at least it tried to, anyways. He was certain that someone specific had followed him this far. Someone with a grudge against the shadows. It wanted his attention, so Naruto followed it through the green plains of Starfell Valley towards Star Snatch Cliff. The closer he approached, the more evidence was displayed that the Abyss was waiting. Naruto passed by several hilly turtle camps led by the Abyss mages, holding back the usually aggressive souls. They wizardly stared at him, but did not act as Naruto was led to the cliff by the shadow. Led to a young man whom Naruto was familiar with. The shadow finally revealed itself as an Abyss Lector, standing protectively before the blonde-haired kid. I fear you wouldn't have come, Aether stated, staring towards the heavens, his gaze solemn as it fell upon a particular structure in the night sky. One Naruto knew to be Celestia. You know, when it comes to the Abyss, it's usually on sight. After all I've seen, you should know I don't tolerate their presence, Naruto commented, tightening the bandages of his right arm before sliding his hands into the black pant pockets, his orange shirt gently ruffled by the following breeze. Grr! Watch your tone or suffer the consequences, the Abyss Lector snarled, raising its palm, prepared for battle. We did not bring him here to fight. I would like to keep this peaceful. Aether held out his hand, addressing his subordinate and shaking his head, finally turning and meeting Naruto's gaze. I apologize for their impudence. I believe you know who I am. I am aware of you, just as you are aware of who I am. Naruto simply raised his brow. So, in the interest of keeping this peace, why did you summon me here? Yes, I am more than aware of your reputation as a Storm of Teyvat, and how you have warped the nations with your mere presence, Aether stated with a nod, his gaze shifting back upon the glow of Celestia above. It's almost time. Time? Time for what? Naruto blandly responded, ignoring the cold stares from the Abyss surrounding their prince. If they weren't careful. My sister should be freed from her prison soon, Aether stated, the moonlight glinting from his misty eyes, before his gaze returned to Naruto. I called to ask you a favor. And why should I be so inclined to help you? I can't see how your sister's arrival can be a good thing for Teyvat, given all you have done for it. Naruto frowned, sensing what the prince was about to ask. She is unburdened by the horrible knowledge of this land, unlike myself. She is a pure and simple soul, one who will likely wish to see the splendors of this world has to offer. Aether responded with a sorrowful smile as he lowered his head shamefully. All I ask is that you to look after her, keep her safe when she arrives. Allow her to come up with her own opinion of this world, even if it may cause her to see me as a villain. Seriously? Naruto raised an incredulous brow before shaking his head. I might not know anything about you or your sister, but somehow I doubt she, or you for that matter, would want her to see you in such a light. I've come too far to stop now, Aether exhaled, closing his eyes briefly before his gaze rose to the heavens. It's why I ask you for this favor. You are another descender as we are, but are free from the shackles of this world. You came to your own opinion and chose to side with your friends, and I can't help but feel envious of those bonds you have forged. All I ask is that you give her the same opportunity when she arrives and begins to search for me. Naruto frowned as a shooting star descended into the ocean nearby. He knew not to trust anyone who aligned with the Abyss. However, he felt Aether was quite genuine with his wish despite how hard it was to believe. However, as the Abyss Lector opened the portal and Aether stood up, Naruto scowled. He wasn't even gonna wait for his answer? The nerve. May our next meeting be as amicable as this, although I fear it will not be. Aether regretfully exhaled, stepping through the Abyss portal along the Lector. Yeah, I have a feeling it won't be, Naruto snorted, his gaze shifting to the remaining members of the Abyss present, their aggression no longer checked by their prince. Get him! The mages cried, the Hilichurl and Metachurls rushing from their encampments. Naruto only smirked at their approach. With a flick of his bandaged arm, his cloak fluttered off into the breeze, and he drew a single kunai, deflecting several elemental arrows quite easily. All right then, I have time to kill before she comes ashore. Don't think you can have all the fun. A blaze erupted from behind the Hilichurls, a phoenix lifting into the sky and shearing the magical barriers of the abyssal mages of water and ice. Diluc stepped out from behind their halted charge, his mighty sword resting on his shoulder, his gaze burning with a passion. Naruto only grinned, nodding at his friend's arrival. Wouldn't dream about it. Now let's go wild. And that makes 20, Naruto smirked, stepping on the back of a fallen Metachurl. He reached down and retrieved his kunai from its skull, and a dark, viscous, black liquid dripped from it. Naruto simply swiped the black blood onto the Metachurl before pocketing his weapon in his pouch. Did you have to count each one verbally? This wasn't a competition, Diluc flatly retorted, resting his great sword on his shoulders. It wasn't? Naruto expressed his surprise before frowning. Ma, this isn't because I won again, is it? No, Diluc stoically responded, shaking his head. The more pressing matter is this Prince of the Abyss has finally revealed themselves. It's the first time I've ever laid eyes on him. The fact that he's human bothers me. What makes you think he's human? Naruto raised his brow, shaking his head as Diluc jolted at Naruto's revelation. What does that mean? Diluc recovered with a deep frown. I wasn't close enough to hear most of what was discussed. What did you learn? He's a descender just like I am. I'll bet from another world. Naruto stated with a sigh, gazing down into the coastline, waiting patiently. Another descender? Diluc's frown deepened at that knowledge before a hint of concern crossed his features. You're not... Are you still seeking a way back to your old home? No, that time has passed. These memories I have of my old friends, I don't feel the same bonds as that version of myself did. Those people feel like strangers to me. Naruto gazed out into the distance before sighing. Naruto wished the memories he had recovered of all the faces from his home meant something. They absolutely should have, given the context, but they didn't. There was this sensation that those memories belonged to someone else. The memories felt alien to him. I see. Well, good. I don't want to have to deal with a depression spiral that would throw Eula into. She's already a handful when you're gone as it is. You know she drinks far more when you're not here. Diluc's expression shifted several times before returning to his typical stoic demeanor. I know she does. She has needs despite how capable and strong she is. Being away often doesn't help either. Naruto grimaced, running his hand through his hair. Or having several other girlfriends, Diluc added with a raised brow before shrugging his shoulders. You are unbelievably fortunate. You do know that. Yeah, I hear it all the time. Naruto took a deep breath as a figure swimming through the ocean approached the beach. You better head back and get some rest. Can't let others in Mondstadt know you've been secretly fighting the abyss and the shadows now, can you? I wondered who'd spread that rumor, Diluc scoffed, shaking his head and scaling at Naruto before following his gaze. Perhaps, Naruto smirked before his expression softened. Let Eula know. As soon as I'm done here, I'll return. Is that a person swimming at this time of night? Diluc's eyes fell upon the figure approaching the coast near Stormbearer Point. Yeah, it is, Naruto chirped, preparing to leap down as Diluc looked dumbfounded. I think I'm missing critical information here. Diluc blandly blinked at Naruto. I'll fill you in when I know more, Naruto responded. Just know, if she's anything like him, she has a power that can reshape this world. Panting as she laid upon the sands of the coast she had swam to, Lumine's brown eyes hazily gazed up into the night sky as the ocean's waves lapped at her ankles. Why did she have to crash into the ocean? Suppose it's better than in the mountains, said the young lady. Her blonde hair laid matted against the sand. The grain stuck to her white dress, which had blue lining and designs. The flower in her hair barely clung on. But with a light smile, she gazed into the starry sky. She had missed the stars, missed traveling amongst them with her brother. Her brother. Lumine's eyes shone with determination as she wearily sat up, turning her attention beyond the massive cliff walls before her. She couldn't waste time here. Her brother was out there somewhere. Who's there? Lumine flinched, startled by a movement she caught out of the corner of her eye. She rolled onto her knees, looking for anything to defend herself. The last time Lumine was aware of her surroundings, that woman had attacked her and her brother and separated them. All she could find was a waterlogged branch, which was better than nothing, she supposed. However, Lumine slightly relaxed upon seeing a calm man in orange and black with spiky blonde locks approach. A simple wave and smile disarmed her. With his casual demeanor and different clothing, she doubted he was with. Was he saying something? Why didn't she understand his language? Oh no. Did the language of the world change? She had studied so hard with her brother to learn the local language. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Do you happen to speak Conrian? Lumine winced upon seeing the confusion on the man's face. It was clear he didn't understand. Wonderful, she was going to have to spend another few months studying and learning a new language. Little. Rare? Few speak. Lumine's sunken expression turned hopeful upon hearing him respond. He knew some Conrian. Not very well, but enough to speak simple words, and could at least understand some of what she was saying. That would make things a little easier, she said. Rare? It was common when they landed. Lumine recoiled, recalling her last waking moment. If that was the fall of that civilization, it made sense why the stranger only knew part of the language. That begged the question, how long had she been asleep? How much else had changed? And where was her brother? Lumine grimaced. Where would she even begin? Do you know where a library is by chance? Lumine asked after a moment. She would need to spend time studying the language through her books and deciphering it. She had done it many times before on past trips. She could do it again. But without her brother... Yes, the man in orange nodded, beckoning her to follow before pointing past the cliff. Lumine let out a sigh of relief. At least, despite the world, there was some universal body language that transcended the language barrier. And given this man's posture and demeanor, she felt she could trust him. Thank you, Lumine responded with a curt bow. The man simply laughed and nodded. His smile was quite infectious. But before she could follow him, he stopped, gesturing a finger towards them as he spoke again, holding out his hand in some form of greeting. Naruto. Is that your name? Lumine pursed her lips before gently reaching out and clasping his hand. Mine is Lumine. And I know you're probably not going to understand this, but I'm looking for my brother. His name is Aether. Stepping out of the Knights of Favonius' headquarters, Eula stared off distantly. It was a captain's meeting of vital importance, yet she couldn't care less. Eula was in a sour mood as she stepped down the steps. She gnashed her teeth as she stomped away from the headquarters. All Eula could think about was him, and how she was pissed at him. Naruto had left her alone last night. Eula knew he would respect her boundaries. She was thankful for that. He had taken her home many times before, but each and every time he was resting on the furniture outside waiting for her when she awoke. And she had expected him to be there. He had been gone for several months, and she wanted to spend some time with him. Some alone time. But to wake up and see Naruto was nowhere to be found? It was foul treachery. Her vengeance would be unyielding if he didn't have a good excuse to leave. Hold it, an agitated voice that grinded Eula's patience as she reached the next flight of stairs. What do you want? Eula scowled as she turned back to see Kaya exit their headquarters. Huh, someone's in a sour mood, Kaya mused, seemingly reveling in her dismay. However, with a nasty glare, he held his hands up to place Aether. I just have a message to give you from Diluc. He will return soon. The shadows were abundant last night, and had been following him for quite some time. Shadows? Eula deeply frowned, understanding the message. The abyss was in the walls of Mondstadt last night? They had been following Naruto? That meant... Thank you. Tell Grandmaster Varka and Jean I'm heading to the field to gather on unusual information about the abyss. Eula ground her teeth, turning her attention to the plains of Mondstadt beyond the walls. They already know. I informed them first, Kaya responded, hand on his hip. Do be safe. We don't need our reconnaissance captain going out and doing something quite reckless. You know as well as I he is more than capable of taking care of himself. Eula scowled at Kaya's mocking tone. It wasn't a matter of safety. She knew Naruto could handle anything the abyss could throw at him. He could dive into the abyss and was immune to that taint. He could handle the strongest of creatures within the abyss. His strength was unparalleled. Even Grandmaster Varka did not consider him Naruto's equal. This was a matter of pride for Eula. She was the head of reconnaissance. She was meant to dive in and gather information on those who encroached upon Mondstadt's borders. And her king had returned to do that job without her? Eula's vengeance knew no bounds. When she found him, he had best be prepared for the reckoning. A sinister expression crept on Eula's face as she headed down into town. The pain she inflicted upon him would give her such satisfaction. It would be a long, agonizing experience for him, and he'd best give his all in return to match her. Eula didn't want to feel her legs for quite some time. This was going to complicate things. Naruto hadn't agreed, but the last thing he wanted to do was leave someone unfamiliar to this world stranded and unable to speak a language that was virtually dead. He was lucky he knew some of it and could glean from what she was saying context clues. But she would need a genuine translator. The only person he knew who spoke it with some fluency was someone far away who had a mentor in their ranks and who could speak her ancestors' ancient language. The issue was that she was in Fontaine and had a massive family to run. It was a journey he could make quite easily and did so regularly. The issue was a traveler from beyond the stars. Given who her brother was, Naruto knew she was capable, and the way she handled the sword he handed her just in case something attacked told him she was trained to wield it. The issue lay in her communication with him, or anyone for that matter. He had picked up some Conrian from Arlecchino, but only enough for a few simple phrases to speak to those in the abyss, when they were willing to listen, of course. It was also an incredibly helpful tool when he was trying to listen in to their conversations. She needed to know how to communicate in the native tongue of Teyvat before she could adapt and learn the cultures. And he knew how difficult it was to learn a new language. Naruto sighed as they traversed the plains of Starfell Valley, stopping at Starfell Lake as the traveler stared in awe at the statue. She likely had several questions, but none that Naruto could answer for her in a language she understood. At least he was able to convey his desire to his sister. She was willingly following him to Mondstadt, where Naruto knew he could get her assistance. And if needed, Naruto lifted his head and scrunched his brow. In the distance, a figure approached with a sultry stride, a figure he was all too familiar with. He felt a chill in the air, with the moisture freezing into crystals. The water beneath her heels turned to thick sheets of ice. Lumine drew her sword defensively, prepared for a fight. "Friend," Naruto held out his hand towards Lumine, shaking his head. She looked confused, but sheathed the blade as the blue-haired knight approached. "I suppose you didn't take my message well," Naruto simply sighed as Eula crossed the lake of water and stepped onto the shore. "No, you left without me," Eula scowled as she stopped before Naruto, glowering at him. "You were drunk. What was I supposed to do?" Naruto raised his brow. "You stay with me throughout the night. Keep me warm. You know how cold I can get." Eula frowned, tilting her head towards Lumine and scoffing, crossing her arms over her chest. "And who is this with you? I thought you were dealing with the abyss." "Would you believe me if I said it was connected to the abyss?" Naruto ruffled his locks and nervously chuckled. Eula squinted before scoffing, noticing a smile and wave from Lumine as she glanced over towards her. "I find that hard to believe." "Hello, nice to meet you," Lumine smiled, trying to be friendly. "What the?" Eula recoiled as Lumine spoke, her eyes widening. Hold on. Isn't that the language Kaya has been studying? It's Conrian, yeah. It's why I said she was connected to the Abyss. For you see, it happens to be the only language she speaks. Naruto nodded before frowning as a gentle breeze picked up and whistled, carrying off the flower from Lumine's head. Naruto's frown deepened. He watched as the wind carried off the flower, gently whisking it across the lake until it landed on the center of the island, on the statue of Seven. And feeling the breeze settle as it did, he swore he could hear a lyre strumming. Subtle, Naruto muttered as he watched Lumine dive into the lake. He wasn't sure why, but Venti wanted her to approach the statue. The question was, why? Naruto soon got his answer as Lumine reached the statue and retrieved the flower, resting her hand on the statue as she did. Immediately the wind picked up. The statue illuminated. Lumine was receiving its blessing. Naruto watched as the water rippled and the wind spiraled and pushed outwards, gathering strength. Eula held her arm before her as a cyclone of animo energy built around Lumine before finally dissipating, leaving a confused traveler. Did she absorb the blessing from her Archon? Eula blinked several times, jaw left agape as Naruto simply nodded. Okay, I have so many questions. So do I. But those answers will have to wait until we can communicate properly. Naruto scratched his head and sighed at Lumine's confused stare, unable to answer her. Wonderful. Eula clicked her tongue in annoyance as she glared at Naruto. This is reminding me when I first found you. Is this your revenge for my actions back then? Nah, I already got my payback. And from the sound of it, I might need to give you another night of vengeance. Naruto grinned foolishly, a particular glint in his gaze as he took in her figure, or a particular part of her figure. Pervert, Eula bitterly glowered before huffing. Lumine crossed the lake again to join them. With what felt like a purposeful, sultry stride ahead, Eula led the way. Let's make our way back. There's no way I'm leaving her alone with you. I already have enough competition as it is. Lumine had been utterly fascinated by the town of Mondstadt. She looked interested in everything she saw, absently wandering the streets, taking all the sights and people in. She was very curious. It was evident she wanted to learn more and ask questions, but frustration had clearly settled in. The lack of communication was bothering her. How Lumine sulked as she followed behind them displayed her annoyance. Still, Naruto couldn't help but chuckle as she admired the headquarters of the Knights of Favonius. He felt he had a similar expression when he first saw them. Naruto was reasonably sure that he shared that look when the first time he arrived in each region. Motioning for Lumine to follow as they entered the headquarters, Naruto wasn't prepared for what he saw as he stepped inside. His eyes narrowed as many knights were gathered in the hall, each packed and prepared for a long journey, and all were waiting upon someone expectantly, and he had a good gut feeling who it was they were awaiting. What gives? Are they going on an expedition? Naruto frowned at the battalion of knights gathered, glancing toward Eula for an answer. But before Eula could answer, a hush fell over the murmuring knights. His attention shifted as a large man approached through the gathered knights and towards them. Yes, we will, Barca stated as he brushed past his knights to stand before them. Thanks to the information you gathered for us, I've decided an expedition to the north is necessary. Naruto's frown deepened. He was going to take an entire battalion to the north? That was drastic. It could be seen as a declaration of war. But I am glad you have returned. I wanted to speak with you before we left. Varka stated before he glanced over towards Eula and looked pleasantly surprised upon seeing Lumine. Oh? Who is this? She's the reason I've returned, Naruto stated before scrunching his brow momentarily. She's a traveler from beyond the stars who has crash-landed here. Crashed? Varka frowned, raising a brow as he took in Lumine's appearance. She flinched and leaned away from his piercing gaze. His look clearly bothered her. That flower, Varka squinted before sharing a look with Naruto. Naruto nodded to confirm his suspicion. She's looking for her brother. From what little I can translate from what she says anyways. Translate? Does she only speak Conrian? Varka's frown deepened. She does, and while I know some, not enough to be helpful. Could use some help from Lisa until I obtain an expert to help with the matter. Naruto nodded again before ruffling his locks and smiling, trying to ease the tension for Lumine. Varka caught on, noticing the girl's shaky agitation. With a nod, he warmly smiled and used a calm but boisterous voice. Well, I'll inform Jean. She can assist with the search. As for Lisa, you may ask for her assistance. I'm sure she can find the time to help assist. She might even know an expert given her years at the academia. I already have someone in mind. I just need her help until that expert arrives. Thank you, Naruto respectfully bowed, only to feel a heated glare piercing the back of his skull. If it's that Fatui hussy, you can forget it. Find someone else. Eula gnarled her lips and glared at Naruto. Eula? Naruto gave Eula a reproachful glance and grimaced at the icy cold stare he received in return. He knew why she didn't like the Fatui, but she was the best person he could think of for this matter. Fine, Eula snarled upon hearing Naruto's pitiful sigh, huffed and turned her head. But know this, my vengeance will be paid back threefold, and if she dare steps out of line, I won't hesitate to put her in place. Today was quite a busy day for Rosaline Truzaska Lofalta. While she was here for political relations in Mondstadt, her main goal remained to manage their intelligence operations. That had become quite difficult over the last year. The Fatui's influence dramatically diminished within their walls after they had found and linked to the Lawrence Rebellion they had been funding. It had taken her a long time to mend that rift after she replaced their last representative in the Mondstadt. Alas, the rebellion was always fated to fail. The moment that nuisance descended upon this world made all their operations hell, and Regrator had been going through a spell of unfortunate luck and was hounded by the storm. La Sonora almost felt an ounce of pity for the man. Almost. It was better him than her. She did not welcome that level of trouble in her life. Sonora took a bite of her wonderful dinner prepared for her, and she scrunched her face at the bitter taste that followed, not from the food, but from the mere fact that irritation had arrived in Mondstadt. She had been lucky so far as to not have crossed him, and dealing with him in the aftermath of his actions was a mess. With strength that passed Il Capitano, stealth to match even their best units, and his peculiar tactics that could even baffle Dattore, he was a force Sonora did not want to deal with. And then there was the added issue with his personal relationship with the knave. Sonora lifted her head as the breeze of the calm western wind caught her attention. Her gaze turned utterly foul upon seeing the window of her room open. She hadn't opened it. She cautiously scanned her room as she rose, crossing the hotel floor to close the window without fear. Only a fool would trespass on the Goth Hotel and her personal. So I finally get to meet the fair lady personally. Beauty personified. Meh, not my type. An amused voice chippered from behind her, spinning around with ill intent for her intruder's well-being. Sonora's heart skipped a beat. Sitting upon the bed was the man of her nightmares. Now, the knave, on the other hand, she is a genuinely beautiful and fair lady. Naruto smirked upon seeing the alarm in Sonora's expression. Sonora twitched. To dare suggest that she was more attractive than her? Preposterous. And what do I owe the honor of the visit from the Storm of Teyvat? I don't think I or my subordinates have done anything to incur your wrath. Sonora refused to take the bait and kept her face neutral. I could name a few operations you've got going on, but I'm not here to blackmail you. Today's your lucky day. I need a favor. Naruto smirked before his expression turned serious. Sonora was unable to repress a scowl. How much of their operations was he aware of? If there was an informant. A favor, you say? Sonora raised her eyebrow curiously before frowning. And why would I be willing to help someone on our blacklist? You have caused us quite a lot of problems. What possibly could you offer to make me consider helping you? A personal favor from me, Naruto simply stated, much to Sonora's surprise. A personal favor, you say? Sonora pursed her lips before her eyes twinkled as several thoughts crossed her mind. Now, that is interesting. So if I hypothetically asked you to acquire the Gnosis here for me, if that is what you wish, it will be done, Naruto sincerely answered with a steeled expression. Is that so? Sonora mused, a devilish glint in her eyes, before she confidently smirked. Then I'll think I would like to hold on to that. That is something I could use later. Now, what is this favor you request of me? Arlecchino, Naruto responded intently. That will be difficult, Sonora frowned, understanding precisely why he asked her for this favor. That's why I'm willing to give you something as priceless as a favor from me to bring her here. I'm aware of how Fatui politics works, and I'll do what is necessary to make this happen, Naruto scowled in annoyance. Interesting. Sonora furrowed her brow, wondering precisely what he had come across that he would willingly pay such a price. Still, with an amused expression, Sonora nodded. Consider it done. It won't be easy, but I can guarantee you I'll have her here in a week's time. And that is the first part of this What If. I hope you enjoyed. Again, if you like this story, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have a moment, think about leaving a comment. Feedback really helps when I'm writing stories, and I would be very appreciative of anything you have to say. And since some of the ships are open, I'm willing to hear your thoughts on who should be paired in each region. Although now that I've learned of Skirk's age, well, she's out of the running entirely. So we'll figure something out there. Anyways, I think there will be some videos here on the screen somewhere. If you like this, you might like this one. Until next time, my friends, take care of one another. Peace.